No, good morning, good afternoon. I am on page 21 of the Unit 11 Quadratics packet. I am going to skip ahead to the day 5 notes. We're going to be just working with and rewriting roots in different ways. We're going to be working with them a little bit more as we go, but right now we're just going to be kind of working with them back and forth, not having to solve anything. So when you start seeing this, we're not going to solve for a. One thing, the special thing to know is when you have a square root, if there is no number outside of it, this technically means there is a secret, or not secret, but a implied 2 that is written out there. The square root is, again, taking, so an example of 25. A square root means what number 2 times or repeated 2 times is this number. So when we're taking a square root of 25, we can type that into the calculator and we'll get there. That would be the number 5. So when we do this, if there's nothing written there, automatically there means there's a 2 outside. If you see something like a 3 written outside, or a 4 or a 5, we don't have to imply any number. It's already there for us. This is referred to as the index, that number that sits kind of on the square root. So when we look at something like this, when it has x squared, and I'm saying the square root of it, this means we have a 2. We're not going to do a whole bunch of solving, but this actually means we take this 2 and write it like this over what's called the index. And we say x to the 2 over 2, which is just x to the 1 or x. And if I'm reversing it, this means 2 root of x times 2 root of x. This is 2 root of x squared. And again, those 2's cancel out. We just have an x. Now you're not going to have to do a whole bunch of solving. We're just going to rewrite these things. So when you see something like this, now it doesn't matter if it's a number, a variable, or whatever have you, we need to know the exponent that's sitting with that. So if it's a number, we'll write it in. If it's a variable, we'll write it in. If it's not there, if it's already there, great. If it's not, we put a 1. When I'm doing this, it's called writing it in radical, so with a root. And I change it to what's referred to as exponential, so you have an exponent. This would be x, so it's the 1. It keeps the 1 with it. And then it puts it over whatever's in the index or in the root part. Then we put that there. And we leave it alone. This is radical form. And this is exponential. So we're just kind of going back and forth between them. Now in this one, to the right, I have exponential, P-O-N-E-N, exponential. And now, on this one, I took radical and made exponential. This one, I'm going to have exponential and rewrite it as radical. So you don't have to do a whole bunch. You're just rewriting them. There's no solving, there's no simplifying, any of that. So the 1 stays with what's there, so it's still x to the first. When I write as a radical, so I put the root, and whatever's in the bottom sits on the outside like that. And that's all we're doing. Okay, so right here, square root of 25. So the 25 is to the first power. I'm going to have that for me. Now I'm going to remember there's nothing written down, so I'm going to use the 2 there. So to take it radical to exponents, I write my 25. It was to the first power. 25 to the first. Now the root part, I write it as the 1/2 power. So I keep these as exponents, but it's just 25 to the 1/2. All right, these, I have 27 and I keep this to the first power. I'm going to ignore the 3 for a second. 27 to the first. Now it's a fractional exponent, so I put a root down, and I have 3 on the outside of the root. You can leave the 1 sitting there. Another way to rewrite it would be 3 to the third root of 27. But you are absolutely welcome to leave the exponents. This next one, the number 81, that's to the first power, so always make sure it has an exponent. So I rewrite that first. 81 to the first power. Now since this is a fourth here, I say over 4. And that's all we're doing, is rewriting them back and forth with those. Now, we've done a lot of just numbers. All right, so if I have variables, we do the same thing. X already has the third power, so I leave it as x to the third. Now, the fourth is sitting outside, so I make this over 4. So this is, instead of having it written this way, the another way to write it is x to the 3/4 power. Now, you have a combination of numbers here and variables, so we're going to do them individually. I'm going to wait to have my 2 has the first power here. And that 7 is going to be in everything under there. So first I'm going to do 2 to my first. 2 to the first has the index of 7, so it's 1 over 7. Okay, that's in the bottom of every fraction here. Now x. I have x here. It's going to be to the 6th. We're going to put it over 7, because that's the index. Now the y here is to the 5th power, so I write y to the 5th, and then I put it over 7. And we leave it alone. We don't do anything else but rewrite it like that. So I'm going to go through all these on the bottom of page 22 here. If you think you're okay, why don't you pause it and double check with me after you have them written out here. If we're going through this, I'm going to do a to the first. So I'm writing a to the first. And that bottom is the 6th. The fractional part is 6, so I write the root and the 6th root on the outside. That's it. Number 5 here, 7 gets the first power, x gets the first power. All right, so I'm going to do the 7 first. So 7, we have the 1, and the index is that 4 there. So 1 over 4. And I do the same thing with the x. The x has the first power, and then I make it over 4. And that's it. That's all we're doing. Variables. They already have the exponent, so we're going to leave them alone. So I write x to the 12 over 7 and y to the 8 over 7. Okay, and number 7 here, I'm going to keep x to the 4th. Now I put the 5 on the root, so I make the root, and I put 5 sitting right there. It means the 5th root of x to the 4th. All right, so the next 2, I do them individually. I'm going to take the 5. Okay, so I'm going to write 5 to the 8th power. The 9 sits out there side of that one on the root. Now I do the 4. All right, this is just times, so I'll put that times 4 to the 7th power. and the root again of 9. All right, this last one here, I have x to the 8, and then I have a 3. So x to the 8, and then y to the 5. You can put a times in between if you like. But they both have that outside number, so they're going to sit as over 3 here. And that's all we're doing. All right, so we're just switching between radical and exponential forms. We don't have to do much else. I'm going to put a Jamboard up for you to work on and go through that so I can see them. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.